kinship with one another and that meteorite because we all have the same point of origin. That's a gift of modern astrophysics to civilization, to realize the oneness we have with one another biologically, with the Earth chemically, and with the universe atomically. Occasionally people ask me, what do I think the future will bring? And I say, no, I don't know if I'm the best person for that. I said, well, I'm not. And all I do is tell them about Star Trek. And I remember as a kid, and I said, okay, warp drives, I'm good with that for the future. Little cards you put in a box to get data, I'm good with that. But those doors that open up just by walking towards them, that'll never happen. Somehow I was in complete denial of automatically opening doors.
That's absurd.
And I said, we will never have that for a millennium.
That's the fantasy. The reality is, there was a guy hidden behind the door doing a little people, here he comes. And every so often that guy fell asleep, and I'd hit the door and it wouldn't open.
Captain's log, stardate 8169.7. The Enterprise has just discovered a strange new planet in the Gamma Fallopian star system. Hi, I'm William Shatner. My car broke down while I was on my way to give a speech about how TV keeps families together.
You might ask how Family Guy is connected to my quest for enlightenment.
I love Schnitzel.
Well, apart from doing a brilliant send-up of me...
Oh my god, I hit William Shatner.
Light, growing, dimmer, can't breathe. Beam me up, God.
Producer Seth MacFarlane is also responsible for reviving Cosmos, the #1 science show on television. If I give him a sandwich, maybe he'll be nice to me.
Yeah. Are you hungry? I just ate, but I can eat again for you.
The ultimate sacrifice.
Look, I can't believe what I'm looking at. Yeah, this is the infamous bowl of spaceships.
That's the one I was on.
It's amazing. We were talking about this yesterday. What a brilliant design this was.
This whole thing is novel.
It's so simple. Its silhouette is instantly identifiable. It's a very underratedly brilliant piece of design. One of the reasons I got into TV was because of the small character stories and morality plays that you guys did. And the characters never set those spacers on kill unless they had to. And it affected me. And it's the reason that nowadays, if I find a spider in my house, I gotta catch it and put it outside. Because Star Trek set out to teach us that everything has a right to exist. Well, until it screws up.
Then you kill it.
It's gone.
I'm fascinated by the idea that you, with your reputation of animation and comedy and outrageous comedy, suddenly veer into producing Cosmos, and you were instrumental in reviving it with the host of Neil Westminster.
It all goes back to when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I was in high school, I had your show and the show following to present an optimistic view, which, by the way, is something that's very lacking right now. Science fiction has gotten very, very dystopian. A lot of people get their science from entertainment. And I wonder what that's doing. I wonder what the absence of that exciting, hopeful, optimistic vision that you guys presented. Without that, I wonder what's exciting kids today who are into that genre.
If you were going to go to Dr. Stephen Hawking, what would you ask him?
I would say, what's your best guess? That would be my quick at everything. And is there some higher dimensional lens that we are seeing our world through? So I would say to him, with everything that you know and your knowledge of mathematics and quantum physics and such, what is your best guess as to the actual physical nature of the universe? And I'm sure he would, because he's a responsible guy, I'm sure he would say, I have no fucking idea.
Okay, this may be the greatest deli sandwich you've ever had.
There's no way this is going to be all over my shirt.
No.
Yeah. You know, we forgot napkins.
No, we forget that, all right.
Your magic sack.
It goes on the tail. I have a spaceship in there. New York Central Park is an oasis of calm in a hectic world. An ideal place for a conversation on deeper subjects, time, space, and the mysteries of the universe. Michio Kaku is a renowned futurist and theoretical physicist. Some say he's pushing the boundaries of modern physics, dreaming in the realm of science fiction. I'm about to find out. Michio.
Ah, Mr. Shatter.
How are you?
Great honor.
Bill, please,
Yeah.
please. So, I've asked you to come here
Yes?
in the park because all life is connected. The religious philosophies by people who lived before technology, they deduced intuitively that everything was connected.
Many religions believe that the universe is one. Think of the Big Bang, when the entire universe came out of something smaller than an electron. Everything you see around us was connected at the instant of the Big Bang.
Oh,
And when the Bang took
Well
place,
done.
we got
Now the real work can get started in the lab.
All matter in the universe has a connection with every other piece of matter. Because we all came from the same bang.
well, I love that idea. The Big Bang is an incredible concept as to the beginning of this universe.
Right.
I mean, nobody thought of that before.
That's right. See, Einstein had the theory, but the Big Bang was too much for him. Nature has two hands. One hand is the theory of the very big. The other theory is the quantum theory, the theory of little tiny electron. But why should nature have two hands which don't talk to each other?
Right, exactly.
How can nature combine the big with the small into a single theory?
How?
That is the number one problem in physics today.
That's the mystery.
Yeah, it's still a mystery. We don't know. The leading theory is string theory. We think the string theory, in fact, is the only candidate which can meld the big and the small into a single comprehensive theory that works.
I understand the English, but the sense of it, what does that mean?
Well, we think that ultimately particles are made out of tiny vibrating strings.
Yes.
From a distance, they look like a particle, but up close, they're really vibrating strings. The only paradigm of nature that is rich enough to explain this enormous variety of things we see around us is music. Strings have many frequencies. Each frequency corresponds to a particle, to a whole universe of interactions. And as it vibrates, it creates quantum mechanics, all the quantum particles, and as it moves in space and time, it forces the stage of life to curl up exactly as Einstein predicted. So in a very simple way, we can combine both Einstein's theory and the quantum theory, and together they comprise everything.
Okay, expect law enforcement to get in the way on this sale, but hopefully the phantom wedge we're lending you will get them out of it.
So the music
Stick to the route,
of the
stop for
string
nothing,
is all
make the drop.
particles, and chemistry is nothing but the melodies, the play of these vibrating
I
strings.
love what you're doing.
And then the universe is a symphony of strings.
Oh,
These are the exact quotes of Einstein. He said he wanted to, quote, read God's thoughts. The leading candidate for reading the mind of God is cosmic music. Cosmic music resonating through 11-dimensional hyperspace.
that's the theory, and that would go along with the unifying idea of everything is unified.
Right.
And you're looking to prove what you just said. You're looking to prove that?
That's right.
Oh, man. I never understood that. I got it. I got it. Star Trek has fundamentally altered the course of my life, but I could never have guessed how it could influence so many other lives and inspire people to innovate, to create, to literally reach for the stars. This is the Space Shuttle, Enterprise, with its name inspired by Star Trek. It was the prototype of the shuttles that followed, the giant step forward in our ability to reach for the stars. But where exactly is that quest taking us? we're literally at the crossroads of science fiction and science. Right. And you are a pure scientist, right? And I'm a pure ignoramus. so I'm fictional in every sense, and you're pure science.
It's all about dreaming. And science fiction, although entertainment, is about dreaming. And that is the most powerful force that we know.
Until this moment, I've never fully understood that the science you're in is about dreaming the what-ifs.
Absolutely.
But it's the what-ifs based on the knowledge of scientific principles.
Exactly.
And science fiction is also based on that with a more
open-minded.
Open-minded.
Yes.
Where the possibilities are less likely.
Right. So science fiction illustrates, perhaps better than anything, the extraordinary power of the human mind to do much more than it knows. Because the human mind dreams of things before they happen.
Based on all this, where do you think we'll be in Star Trek's time, 250?
Well, anything I say that far ahead is bound to be wrong.
Of course.
What I know is that the quantum technological revolution is coming. We know that the devices we use today, as awesome as they are, laptops and cell phones, will be abacuses 10 or 20 years from now. We're going to have, I believe, new sources of energy. The dark matter in space, the dark energy in space, I think one day it's going to be used. That will allow us to travel in space.
Where does Dr. Stephen Hawking and you, as his collaborator?
Yes.
You, I mean, just be mentioned in the same breath is really phenomenal, isn't it?
For him.
But where do you guys fit into this phenomenal gallery of people?
I am inspired by Stephen. His main contribution to physics was to say we can unify quantum theory with gravity. And let's try and do that. We have to do that to describe black holes. We have to do that to describe the Big Bang. We're on the verge of discovering it.
Is that string theory?
No. We're on the verge of discovering it. It's not string theory. String theory has become a nightmare theory. What we're finding observationally is that as we go to bigger scales, the universe simplifies. And in a sense, it's finite. You know, we're used to talking about an infinite universe. But the part we will ever see is actually finite because of the dark energy. So the dark energy is causing the universe to accelerate.
And that, I believe, is everything sold. Next time you see those weapons, they'll be on the news.
It's going to travel away from us so fast, we will never see it.
So here we are,
Yes.
human beings sticking our fingers out to explore, like children looking in the dirt.
Absolutely.
We're looking into the sky, trying to find an answer.
Right.
What is the answer? What is the question? Why are we doing this? What will we discover? Will we discover the beginning? Or how does this? What are we doing?
It's who we are. We are the leading edge of evolution. Right? We arose
We
in
are
the
the leading edge
of universe. We represent the self-consciousness of the universe.
This thing behind us isn't thinking about what's out there and how does it work.
Through us, it is.
Through us. Through us.
We
It is.
are the self-consciousness of
Are
the
you
universe.
the leading? Are you the special forces in the battle for knowledge?
Absolutely.
Wow, you're the Green Berets of education.
That's what physics is.
The Perimeter Institute for Theoretical Physics. This is where dreamers like Stephen Hawking are exploring mind-bending ideas about the nature of our universe, asking the what-ifs. What if we can bend space and time? What if we can control gravity? What if we can peer deep into a black hole? What if we can harness the power of dark energy? What if we can travel faster than the speed of light? What if? Mike Lazaridis, you and your associates invented the very first smartphone. What a thing to be able to say, because of the way smartphones have changed the world. Not just our culture, but every culture. You sell BlackBerry, and you make a lot of money. And you use that money in a philanthropic way. You endow an institute that you call Perimeter. And the object of that money is pure research. How do you get to that?
The lenses of our imagination are the most powerful optics you could ever imagine. They're much more powerful than our eyes. They're much more powerful than our instruments, because they allow us to see things that our instruments can't see, but can only interpret. Everything that we basically take for granted in our industrial world, in our lives, in our society, in our technology, our industry, all the wealth creations come from theoretical physics discoveries that have explained parts of nature.
Gotta work. We're on the way.
Let me take you to this really amazing place. This is where we're growing the future. So this may appear like science fiction, and in many ways it is. But this is the kind of technology you need in order to invent the future, because you're dealing with materials that you can't see. We can grow materials, keep them completely isolated from impurities and contamination. And we can not only grow them here atom by atom, layer by layer, we can build completely imaginative new substances that are going to help us define the quantum future. Scientific discovery and technology and industry, they change everything. No matter how wild-eyed we are, we tend to underestimate the future potential of a discovery, of a physics discovery, or a technology discovery. Physics is magic that works.
The universe transcends the English language. We simply don't have the words to describe its magnitude. But with mathematics, scientists are able to comprehend the universe, to see music in the stars, and equations in its blackness. It occurs to me that these complex scientific theories occupy an imaginative realm much like magic. As Kirk, I explored the universe unafraid of what surprises lay beneath the black cloak of human ignorance. I've come back to familiar surroundings to meet with an actor I directly inspired. And, oh yes, a slick hand at magic, too.
Where the magic is,
Our fearless leader.
you have to believe that it's there.
That's
Magic. Magic is merely saying, that can't be done. And then you do it. And when you first do it, they go, that's a great trick. That's a great trick. And then eventually you go, well, that thing can be done. The reason my wife doesn't like magic, she goes, it's not magical if you can do it. Now it's just a thing. It exists. And I think, that's fascinating. Let's create the illusion.
Special cargo ready for collection. Go get it and bring it to the warehouse.
Your reality. If I say to you, this coffee is hot when it's not, and I believe it, for me it's hot.
your perception is that it's hot.
When I was 8 or 9 years old, I discovered Star Trek. And I became immediately addicted. And my addiction was specific, of the whole thing. But your work as Kirk was so inspiring to me. The idea of this guy who was brilliant, instinctual, romantic, masculine, this sense of humor, where I went, that's what I want to do. Now, what I really wanted to do was pilot the Enterprise. I didn't know that there were two different things. But that was the beginning of my interest in when watching you through those episodes. Kirk was always moving through this galaxy, this mission, with a sense of awe.
The writers of Star Trek had some brilliant ideas.
Yeah. They certainly were able to articulate the challenge in a way that invited dialogue. The most powerful episode you ever did, on which the divide between peoples one guy was black on the right side and one guy was white on the right side. I mean, out of that was this enmity and this hostility and this death match until they literally completely destroyed each other.
That was one of my favorite episodes.
It's just brilliant.
You're coming back to pay for your crime.
Long after you and I are gone, people will watch those episodes, and they may seem kitschy and they may seem outdated, but the integrity that you all brought to it made it real for us, and it left a mark.
You were on Star Trek.
Voyager. I made it
Voyager, yeah.
As you well know, there is a magic, especially if you're a Star Trek fan, to walking onto the ship, and they close the door that gets you onto the ship, and now wherever you look, you're on the ship. I mean, if you look out a window, there's a star field, and if you walk down a corridor, it leads to a real room. That's why we go into acting. There is one other individual who rounds out our group.
An artificial intelligence.
The mind of a mathematician and the soul of an artist.
Take me on this wonderful journey you're taking to a man like Dr. Stephen Hawking. If you were going to go see Dr. Stephen Hawking in Cambridge, what would you ask him?
The question that I think is kind of fun is, why? I'm fascinated as to the why of it all.
Yeah.
If this is all purposed in some way, what is that purpose? You know, how did the universe begin? Big Bang. I go, okay, I'm with it, Big Bang. The second before the Big Bang, there was nothing, and then suddenly there was something.
Yep.
Well, what was in the nothing? What was in the nothing that made the Big Bang? What? If you keep going back, go back one more, go back one more, go back one more. It leads me to have to embrace the idea of a creator that put the motion of the universe into play. That is why I have spirituality, because I believe we have an intended purpose for existence in time and space.
Ground control to Major Tom. Lock your Soyuz hatch and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom. Commencing countdown, engines on. All right.
So are you guys ready to go to Mars?
Absolutely.
All right. So the first thing I want to point out is that this is more than just a panorama. You're fully trapped, so you can move.
This is real.
This is all made from real data.
I've skied this area.
Yeah. Welcome you to move around this, because what you're seeing is a whole 3D world.
No, you have a beam coming out of your eye.
Like a superhero.
That is so wild. What's the rover doing now? I mean, these days. What's it up to?
So it's continuing to explore, and one of the great things about this tool is, so every time we get new images of Mars, the world around you will just fill in with more and more data. So our goal is to drive about a third of the way up that big mountain, and 180 degrees around in the other direction.
180 degrees around this direction.
Yeah, so this is remarkable here.
Yeah. Do we know the qualities of the soil? Is it Earth-like? Can you get a corn crop going there?
I think there's a lot of radiation.
What Bill and Chris are walking on is a sediment. It's made of broken bits of Mars rock. And so it's actually not so alien, because almost all of Mars rock is this volcanic material called basalt. It's the most common kind of rock in the solar system. We have it erupting in Hawaii and Iceland right now. It's all over the surface of Venus. It's all over the surface of asteroids, and forms this sediment across the surface. And if you picked it up and kind of brushed it in your hand, it would just look like a red sand.
It looks totally navigable. I mean, that rover looks like it could go almost anywhere. It looks like Arizona.
It looks like a place the water went away.
Yeah, some places you go, it's just sand for as far as the eye can see, and then other places, there's just giant rocky boulders everywhere.
Do you see that thing move?
Which
a dark shadow behind that hill?
Sasquatch, that would be my guess. Sasquatch, probably. He's everywhere.
Wouldn't it be funny if something popped out there?
Jesus, look at that. Look at that. It's a hominid. So, Chris, Mars rover, huh?
It's amazing.
Chris Hadfield, great Canadian astronaut, teacher, scientist, thinker, writer,
Fellow spaceship commander.
and a spaceship commander.
Houston, are you ready for the event?
I'm ready for the event.
Mr. Shatner, this is Mission Control, Houston.
Last time we talked, you were 250 miles straight up above Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And we had a 10-minute window of communication.
In preparation for you to call me, I was thinking, how do you welcome Captain Kirk on board your spaceship?
Open arms.
Well, yeah, open arms, but you know, there's the military tradition, so I thought, you know, when someone comes on the ship, you blow the bosun's pipe. It's that standard hailing bosun's whistle, and I managed to get a copy of it, and I got it set up so that as you and I started, I'd like push play and hold the microphone so you could hear the silly noise. So the picture me scrambling around the ship trying to properly welcome you aboard. But it was delightful to have you on board my spaceship, the International Space Station.
It was a delight to talk to you. We're here at JPL, and the head of JPL says, hey, Chris, you're the best. You're going to go, and you are going to uncover bacteria and water on Mars. Would you go?
Would you go?
No.
Oh, I'd go.
What will I do with my horses?
Someone else could lead them and feed them.
So you'd go.
The willingness to take a personal risk in order to uncover an idea, to turn over a rock, to push back the edges of some black cloak, that, to me, is the really interesting
Got it. But what about your little granddaughter waving her bum in the air when you play the guitar? You won't see that for 2 years.
I agree. There is always a trade-off of what you're dreaming of doing and what you like to do right now. And as my wife pointed out to me a long time ago, giving up on your dreams does not come for free either. The first people that we either send to go start permanently living on the moon, which I think will happen within our lifetimes, and then eventually figure it out that we can send people as far as Mars. We need people who have everything going for them that you possibly can. In our lifetimes, all space flight has occurred. You know, no human being had flown in space when I was born, when you were born. All of that has happened in less than a lifetime. And yet, we've permanently left Earth in that short period of time. There are 6 people up on a space station right now. They've been up there for over 15 years, coming in on 16 years, rotating crews. We've been in this really small place for so long, and suddenly we have developed the capability to start to see everything else.
What's it like to float in space? What's happening to your stomach and your tongue and your eyes?
We are all living under the ultimate oppressor, which is gravity. It actually physically, we accept it, like, because we have nothing to compare it to. But physically, it is like this actual physical weight trying to drive you under its heel into the dirt. The instant that the engine shut off and you can float from your seat, everybody laughs.
That's just what you did. You float. Is that what you do?
Yeah, you burst out laughing.
No
Because
kidding.
if it happened right now, you would just start laughing. You'd love it. You can tumble and fly. It is instantaneous magic. It's just magic.
Your music and your pictures, which are so well known, tell me what that does for you, brings to us.
Sometimes you go to the window of a spaceship and you say, I'm not going to take a picture. I just want to look at the world. And you're seeing something, but it's going by at 5 miles a second. You can't keep up. You can't cognitively or emotionally keep up with the huge variety of geology and history and human culture. And I found every time my hand would grab one of the cameras and go in, because I wanted to be able to see it later. I didn't want to miss it because I couldn't soak it up fast enough. And so I would take pictures, and then now, 3 years later, I can flick through them and go, wow, look what I saw. Look what it was underneath me.
Just like exploration on a spaceship, music is an amazing human adventure and something that needs to be shared. It shouldn't be kept to yourself.
And so music to me, is almost a way to explain your life to yourself.
Till next time.
As this fictional captain, I piloted a spaceship. But in reality, if you had that kind of spaceship, at warp speed, you could go anywhere. Within your lifetime, you could go anywhere in the universe.
I think as a central precept, I would be looking for life, but think of what you discover along the way.
Right.
Think of all the other questions you'd answer. Think of how you would want to have Stephen Hawking on your crew.
So it's a voyage of discovery.
Just as the ultimate voyage of discovery.
That'd be interesting. When you stand in eastern Canada and the sun sets and the blackness of the night envelops you, and you're looking up into the skies, what are you thinking? What are you seeing?
What's really special for me, Bill, is there are little moving points of light up there, especially in Canada where the sun can take a long time to set because of the northern latitude. And those little satellites, those little specks of human creativity go silently like little human stars across the sky. And if it's a lucky night for me, I get to watch the space station go over. Imagine if you actually were Kirk and you'd lived out that whole career and you had settled back to the place you love the most and you walked out on a dock and looked up and watched some young captain flying your ship. You could see the point of light, and you know that point of light so exquisitely and completely. You know every valve in it, and you understood it, you studied it, and you know what life on that ship is like. You know what it feels like, smells like, what it sounds like, what the camaraderie's like. It was almost an extension of yourself. But now you're just this person standing on a dock, trying to connect that little point of light with everything that you are.
Just one moment, Katie, and I will answer that question for you.
I stand on the axis where dreams intersect reality. I've always wondered what it takes to understand the nature of the universe, to know it confidently, like the crew on board the Starship Enterprise. If we can literally look up into the sky and see the past, see within 400,000 years of the Big Bang, I'm comforted that time might not be the aggressor we perceive. I see a shooting star, and in some ways, I'm not yet born. For as long as Star Trek has been around, the esteemed environmentalist and broadcaster, David Suzuki, whose years on Earth almost match my own, has been focusing his message on preserving and protecting our planet. His wisdom is shared by North America's First Nations, whose intricate totem poles rise up to the sky as symbols of myths and legends, reflecting their kinship with Mother Earth.
Hello, brother. Hello, brother. How you doing? Look how firm and strong you are. You're pretty firm yourself. Right. You should feel this. I walk around like this for people to feel my own. I'm older than you. I bet that's the first person who said that. You're a little bit. When I enter a room, I used to think, wow, I'm the youngest here. Now I'm the oldest. I can't figure it out.
A lot of people, when they get older, they take themselves very, very seriously. And I love the fact that you set yourself up in commercials.
Well, what would happen if I was really being truthful? And you thought I was setting myself up. No, I mean, on a deeper level, it's over so briefly. I mean, how can you take it seriously?
Yeah.
The cosmic joke is we think it's important, but we're just a continuation, aren't we?
Exactly.
Why don't we talk about that? I mean, the water is right there. The ocean is right by your doorstep. Will it be in your doorstep at some point?
Well, that's the big question. Fortunately, we're high up enough here where even with the sea level rise of, say, a meter, still won't be here, but the storms will come into our yard for sure.
All right, so now people as old as us say, well, the water isn't up yet, we're good. But then you look at your children. What do the children do? And what do the children do?
They've got to tell their parents, who have all the power and the money now, if you really love me, You bloody well have to get us onto a different path.
We know that climate change and the change in the world is happening at an accelerating pace, far faster than you thought 40 years ago.
I learned about climate change in the 70s. And then I wrote an article. I said, this is a slow motion catastrophe. It was only in the late 80s I said, oh my God, we got to act now. This is the time in geological history when humans are the major force shaping the physical, chemical, and biological properties of the planet. We are the force that is determining where the planet itself is going. When they sent astronauts into outer space, one of the things they did is they went and took a picture of Earth. And that picture of Earth from space gave us a view of our home like we never had before. It was one single system, the air, the water, they were all just a part of that beautiful marble of blue. Humans invented the idea of a future, and because of that, we are the only creature that realized we can affect the future by what we do today. Yeah. But look at what a lot of people say, well, we've ruined this planet. We got to find somewhere else.
Let's talk about
Let's go to Mars. Okay, let's go to Mars.
Let's ruin Mars.
The nuttiest idea. We're going to go to Mars and terraform it. We're going to make it into like Earth. Is crazy. Fuck up your own planet and then say, we're so smart, we're going to go and colonize somewhere else. I mean, what the hell? Let's take care of our home.
There goes science fiction.
Our lives are very, very brief. But you and I have something no other group in society has. We've lived an entire life. You've lived a life enough with 5 or 6 people. We've had a lot of experiences. Those experiences are lessons. We've learned a lot through that life. Yes, we have.
But I don't know anything.
Come on.
I'm this old guy. I have no idea what I'm doing.
That is a lesson well worth knowing.
That's the lesson.
I don't know.
Nobody knows anything. But we're both looking at the end. What do you see happening?
One thing I've learned is that we're not separate from our environment. It's embedded in us. Yeah. When we die, we don't suddenly disappear. Our atoms, they're all still there. Yeah. They just take a different form, and when you put them out like that, they're recycled. But that's our immortality. Perfect. So it is a great city. Oh,
what a humbling experience I've had, trying to get to know some of the exquisite mysteries of our universe, and the people who devote their lives to its understanding. It's been said that magic is the knowledge of angels. In fact, the great thinkers of ancient times were considered not scientists, but sorcerers. And so, my journey has taken me to Cambridge, England, one of the pillars of knowledge in the modern world, and the home of Professor Stephen Hawking.
Bullshit. Get to know it.
Founded in 1209, Cambridge University is where Sir Isaac Newton established the principles of modern physics, where Charles Darwin proposed the theory of evolution, where the atom was split for the first time. Great minds of the past, 800 years of knowledge.
Chinese folk, came to Cambridge around 1928. He wrote a poem. He wrote a poem that became famous in China. China sent over a large stone to commemorate the poem, placed it under the willow tree to which he wrote this poem, and since then, thousands have come to Cambridge to pay respect to the poet and the poem. The golden willows by the riverside are young brides in the setting sun. Their glittering reflections on the shimmering river keep undulating in my heart. That pool in the shade of elm trees holds not clear spring water, but a rainbow, crumpled in the midst of duckweeds.
where rainbow-like dreams settle. Yet now I cannot sing out loud. Peace is my farewell music. Quietly, I am leaving, just as quietly as I came. Gently waving my sleeve, I am not taking away a single cloud. King's College Chapel. More than a century to build, its construction overseen by a succession of kings. Kings I know through the words of William Shakespeare as an actor on stage in some of those plays. Time traveling. This place echoes with the passage of time. Imagine what has been accomplished over those centuries. And where will we be in the era of Star Trek? That's just 250 years from now. How will future generations judge us when they look back on our time in 800 years?
That's stupid. If we don't change this shit, that's stupid.
I've come to the chapel to collect my thoughts before meeting one of the great minds of our time, Professor Stephen Hawking.
Can't move my mind, remember none of this shit. I'm trying to sit and remember what I'm saying. Yeah, this all you. Okay, check that out. Meeting Professor Hawking is a rare privilege. Being invited into his home, what an honor. What do I ask a man of such genius? Without technology, his dreams would be trapped. So I've had to prepare my questions long in advance so he could spend time composing his answers. Dr. Hawk, how are you? I'm so delighted to be here. I've been waiting a long time. Not only here, but for a long part of my life to meet you. I've been waiting so long, I feel like it's a lost lover, and you've come finally, and we're meeting once again. How nice to see you.
thank you so much for taking the time and letting us come into your house.
Greetings, Captain Kirk. I have not met you before, but I appeared on the Enterprise as a hologram in a poker game arranged by Commander Data. But then I said, in that frame of reference, the perihelion of Mercury would have processed in the opposite direction.
That is a great story.
Quite amusing, Dr. Hawking. You see, Sir Isaac, the joke depends on an understanding of the relativistic curvature of space-time.
Do not patronize me, sir. I invented physics. The day that apple fell on my head was the most momentous day in the history of science.
Not the Apple story again. I won 141 Federation credits, but I don't know the exchange rate.
Oh, it's tremendous. But now that that you've left the European Union, it's a lot less. I made you laugh. I probably have succeeded beyond my wildest dreams. I've made you smile. I've traveled a great distance through time and space to come here to see you today. It's a great honor to meet you in person, and I hope to find answers to the deepest questions of the universe. My question, therefore, is, Star Trek explored many of the mysteries of the universe, time, travel, warp speed, teleportation, alien civilization, black holes, parallel universes. What role do you think Star Trek plays in inspiring humanity?
Many of the things Star Trek foresaw have come to pass, or will, in the not-too-distant future. We have discovered many black holes, and space travel is now commonplace. We can travel forward in time by moving at almost the speed of light, but I have shown that it is not possible to warp space-time so much that one can travel into the past. Yuri Milner and I have announced plans to use radio telescopes to listen to signals from alien civilizations. We plan to send miniature nanocraft pushed by giant lasers at 20% of the speed of light to Alpha Centauri in search for alien life. What were your favorite aliens, and why?
For you to ask me that is really funny when I imagine you thinking of life on other worlds and what they must look like. So first of all, there was the Horta, who we thought was a terrible thing, being, and it turned out it was a mother protecting its young. The best Star Treks had the best aliens, and they were the best aliens because they had a purpose and a reason and a being. Those were my favorite aliens, the intelligent ones. Why do we want to believe that we're not alone?
It seems that life arose spontaneously on Earth. We also believe that the universe is infinite. The discovery of even primitive alien life would have a profound effect on our view of the universe and our place in it.
When I was captain of the Starship Enterprise, we came across alien life forms, some of them good, some bad. What should we expect when we discover intelligent beings?
Intelligent aliens are likely to be much more advanced because they have had galactic time scales to evolve, whereas our civilization is less than 10,000 years old. If the alien life is intelligent, it is likely to be much more advanced. We could learn a lot. That is, unless civilizations become unstable when they reach a certain level of technology and destroy themselves.
Like the game food.
This is a depressing thought, but it could explain why we haven't received any signals from aliens.
Looking back, I've come to the conclusion that Star Trek and other science fiction are part of our mythology, our way of seeking to explain the things we don't understand. Tell me if and and how Star Trek has inspired and influenced you?
Star Trek inspired me to want to go into space.
Wow.
I took a flight on the Vomit Comet in 2007 to experience zero gravity. This is the training astronauts have. Since then, I have been waiting for Virgin Galactic.
Me too.
I will be one of the first passengers, if my doctors allow me to go.
Well, we might be passengers together. Maybe I'll sit beside you as we go into space together. The focus of your research right now is on black holes. Do your dreams lead to research, or does your curiosity lead to your dreams?
My research is inspired by curiosity. Curiosity about the universe and the laws that govern it. If one understands the laws, one controls the universe, in a sense.
Oh, they want to control
My
shit.
ultimate aim would be to find a complete unified theory that combines general relativity with the other laws of physics. That may be string theory, but this is not yet clear.
The advances in medicine and technology since you were diagnosed with motor neuron disease have enabled you to have a career that would have been unimaginable even 10 years earlier. What do you think your life would be like in the 23rd century?
I hope it would be much better. It seems my condition may be caused by a defect in the repair mechanism for nerve damage. We have identified the gene responsible, and hopefully by the 23rd century, we shall be able to correct it.
Well, I'm a lot older than you, and the end is near, and I've been born too early as well. I'd love to be able to extend my life. We've always dreamed of immortality. We're afraid of dying and losing all of this. Do you think science at some point in the future will help us achieve immortality?
Nothing is immortal. The human repair mechanisms wear out, like everything else. To extend life further would require a major redesign of the human genome, which is unlikely to happen by the time of Star Trek.
Thank you so much for taking the time. It was very generous of you. And I personally have fulfilled a longing to meet you and to see you. And this program has become basically my journey to see you. What a privilege and how grateful I am.
Hello? 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 Goodbye.
How wonderful. How wonderful. God, I wish I could have an evening with you and talk about those things. I had the best time. I felt like I was beside a holy man. I would love to speak. What a remembrance I'll have for the rest of my life. Wow. Holy cats. In this little cottage by the Cam River, came into contact with somebody who's gigantic. Wow.
Shut up, man.
Okay. I wonder what's for dinner.
Yeah, how you do that?
He invited me for dinner. He invited me for dinner. University
universe. Two words united in meaning, symbolizing a universe that connects each and every one of us. The River Cam, part of Cambridge, past the colleges where the seeds of great ideas are sown. Darwin once lived here. Newton's tree is just around the corner. As I sit back and take in the history, I can reflect on what I've learned. Even to the people smarter than me, the future will always be mysterious. There will always be questions unanswered. And I'm reminded of Shakespeare's words. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. Last scene of all that ends this strange, eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion. As Captain Kirk, I was born in 2223, 200 years from now. While I would love to see that time and was born too soon, I'm grateful for the small role I have played in this discourse as captain of a starship in the 23rd century, offering up a hopeful vision of the future.
Hoping for it, never come.
I have taken a journey down the river of knowledge, and I realize that the truth is not in the stars, but in the minds of the people who imagine a future of infinite possibility.
Well said, Captain Kirk. Well said. Because the truth is in us to come out of us, because the creativity in us is the creator of us. That lightning strike, that spark before the smoke of fire, the egg before the chicken, the cocoon before the butterfly, that unconditional feeling of love that you just can't explain, but you have senses to know that you're alive. Reciprocity and empathy is embedded in our DNA. The pillars of life, so you don't have to get on your knees and pray to some guy being a man in the sky. Until you look within you to know the truth within you, you can continue believing and living in a lie. Once you know the truth is just that, the truth, it's time to change from the lies. It's time to start doing what's straight, not what's to the full rights, doing what's straight. I love you more than you love you. That's why I tell you the truth, so you know the truth for yourself. It's all within you to know, not to believe in no bullshit. We're not kids no more. It's time for you to reboot the original computer, which is your brain, and start the processing basically everything that you were taught as a child. Because you was born here. It's not your birthday. Your mama gave you her birthday as a consolation prize. Because you wasn't even much born to you. You was born to United States of America's corporation as product. The truth is the truth. Period. And it will set you free and on a place where you can be free at. And it's where you start to be at. From heaven being a heart to coming here to earth as your start. to be taught some bullshit. I'm just saying, we was taught to be stupid.